What double standard disgusts you? If you owe a company money, you will be charged interest/late fees/service interruption almost immediately after the due date. If a company owes you money, you might see it in 4 to 6 weeks/2-3 billing cycles. A bank once made an error and asked my then wife if she could please reissue the check. She said, "Sure." Once I've received payment of your $25 fine, they actually sent it. Edit to make it clear. Father here, on multiple occasions of taking either of my children to the parents' room to change their nappies whilst out and about. I often receive dirty looks from the mothers and have even been asked to leave once. It's a parents' room, not mothers. I just want to care for my damn children the same as you. Where do you live? Out of curiosity, where I am, we only have changing stations and the like in the gendered bathrooms in public spaces. What you're describing sounds awesome. Minus the dirty looks for actually taking advantage of it. Australia. The parents' rooms here are rather nice. Usually have a small playground for kids, TV, change stations, toilets, one normal and one for kids, microwaves and segregated breastfeeding areas. Very handy. Pay a bill a little late and then they'll cut you off. They have troubles with their product, internet, cable etc. Then they'll ask you to wait for 48 hours and solve it after weeks/months. Right now in Canada, we're in strict lockdown, but a dozen of our politicians have been found vacationing around the globe. In other words, we can't bury grandma at a funeral, but these politicians can go work their town. Thankfully, many of them have resigned in the last 2 weeks. Fellow Albertan here, they haven't actually resigned. They're only being demoted out of their parliamentary roles. They're still going to be MLAs, except for Ken as chief of staff who was hired not appointed. Like for example Tracy Allard resigned from her municipal affairs minister role, but she's still the MLA for her riding. It's disgusting the entitlement these people have. Banks/businesses can immediately withdraw money from your bank account and apply all their disgusting fees. But for banks/businesses to give you money, you have to wait 7 to 10 business days for the funds to appear. I'm a dad of a 3-year-old and it drives me ducking crazy when people tell me how great it is that I'm babysitting or watching my son for my wife. Here's my kid. Dickheads. I'm just as much a parent as my wife is. No limit on sick days policy followed by an annual evaluation where I was told I took the most sick days. Either dock my pay, take away my vacation days, or change your policy. Don't make employees feel like assholes because of guidelines you laid out for them. Dogs can bite us, but we can't bite them. Eater, I know you can bite a dog. Please. My inbox can only handle getting the same message so many times. Edit to sorry I was grumpy this morning. I love my dog, and I bite her ear often, and she grudgingly tolerates me. Basically being against violence, but making comments about how men will get raped in prison. It's disgusting and it's so mainstream. Every cop show makes some comment about prison rape being okay. Even shows like SVU where their entire storyline should be about protecting people. Former inmate here. I can tell. You can be the strongest of all but still be raped. Seen it right with my eyes. And let me tell you, no person in a helmet would joke about it. Yes, it happens. Yes, they make jokes about it. When I was in therapy a couple of months ago, the therapist asks me about if I have ever been raped. And she laughs like this is some sort joke. Since then I said no to the therapy. I was put down. They tried rape me. I got stabbed 3 to 4 times before they left me. If not for the small piece of metal I had. Unless you are a pimp. I have always seen people joke about it. Even my father. Like he says I deserved all of it. Apostrophe. I can't stop myself from telling how hard people make you to express. Prisons are not jokes. It is not only about dropping a soap. It gets worse. No one can get it till they see it with their eyes, and when they will I bet they could even speak a word. Edit. Sorry it turned into a rant. Please don't apologize for ranting. You have valid emotions and feelings, and deserve somewhere to share them. I'm really sorry for what you experienced and what your therapist said to you. I sincerely hope you find a therapist who respects you and treats your traumas for what they are, rather than a joke. When I leave a job, I'm generally expected to give 2 weeks notice, so the company isn't left without essential things being done. When a company decides to let me go though, no warning to start putting in applications or saving more money. You're just gone. Total horseshit. I'm a straight male. I went to a gay bar with some gay women and their straight married women friends. One of the straight women was being basically sexually harassed by another gay woman there, to the point of being chased around the table, all the while saying she was married to a guy and she wanted nothing to do with it. The whole bar was laughing. If I did that to a woman in a regular bar, I'd get my ass kicked, thrown out, or arrested. I was an exotic dancer through much of my 20s and 30s. All clubs in the city where I worked have strict rules about touching, taking pictures in the club, etc. Women would come in and think the rules didn't apply to them. Like, no, Sarah, I don't want you to post selfies of you trying to suck my titty in the VIP any more than I wanted the old guy who looks like my dad to. Yes, you're getting 86'D too. My dad had a very close friend who owned several strip clubs from the late 80s to the early 2000s. He repeated over and over again that they had very few issues at the male customers, female dancers club, and nightly problems at his female customers, male dancers clubs. Apparently female customers in these venues would surge the platforms frequently, make excessively lewd demands, always get handsy, etc. Whereas men knew pulling that would get their ass kicked and thrown out the door. I ducking yearn for the day when someone going to a therapist to support your mental health is treated socially how going to the gym is for your physical health. Like, just imagine if in a room full of dudes, I'm a dude, someone said they really made gains in therapy and the homies were supportive. It would legit make the world a better place, but somehow taking care of mental health gets looked down on a lot. Fuck that. Edit. Holy cow, thanks all. Seriously, you matter. Take care of yourself, Reddit. Mind and body both. As a member of Gen Z, I think my generation is doing a lot better with destigmatizing therapy and recognizing how helpful it can be. Obviously we're not quite to the place we want to be with it, but I really do believe that it's getting better. MD/2 have to do 4 years of medical school. 3 years of residency, minimum can vary by speciality. X years of fellowship, varies by speciality. 12,000 hours minimum not including fellowship which varies. To practice independent, nurse practitioners complete a 18 to 24 month program with 500 hours and can practice independently in 28 states. Edit. Wanted to add to my last point, there are many direct entry diploma mills that are allowing nurses to just go through without any nursing experience and jumping to become an NP. This is occurring in the US health system. Edit 2. California made it so a resident couldn't moonlight and work to earn extra money to supplement the $50K pre-tax income unless they have been a resident for 3 years, while allowing NPs to operate independent right out of 2-year schooling. Not to mention they pay residents in training $50K for already having the same training amount, tbh more in-depth training than them, while they make $100K right off the bat, while being completely clueless plus with no oversight. It is utter corruption by the hospital and big pharma and the nurse practitioner board. Baking is for women. I love watching baking shows and seeing the creativity. I was recently inspired to make a father-daughter pact to bake something with my 5-year-old daughter at least once a week. Next weekend, I'm teaching her to make a checkerboard pattern cake, teaching myself to. Last weekend, we made homemade bread, and she has been asking for a slice of that bread with every meal until now it is almost gone. A certain boomer rock star did a whole bunch of stuff to a girl aged 13, and yet not only did absolutely zero consequences happen, but people all over the world worship him to this day. Imagine if that had been some everyday bloke with his neighbor's daughter or something. He would have been absolutely crucified for far less. Wealthy people don't seem to be accountable for white collar crimes like poor people who commit petty crimes. Wealthy people get huge tax breaks and can spend more money on themselves or invest to make even more. Investments are taxed at lower rates, so people that can afford to invest make even more. Meanwhile those at the bottom get no wage adjustments for inflation, while the cost of everything else increases from inflation. benefits and pensions are cut so the wealthy get rich from the profits as a result of lower pay and benefits. Corporations can move to tax-sheltered countries to avoid paying more taxes. The average person gets none of this and is paying more out of pocket. Look at Bernie Madoff, who went 4 years stealing other people's money and no prosecutions from the 2008 financial crisis. I guess it's easier to go after the poor, powerless and weak. Update. Thanks to everyone for the responses. I wasn't expecting this at all. I signed up on Reddit only 5 days ago. I know Bernie Madoff is not the best example, but my main point with him is that there was evidence for decades of fraud but nothing happened, and the victims won't fully recover their losses. This could have been prevented had law enforcement followed up. I do know that the eyes and other agencies don't have the resources, but I wish this would change. I understand that some may work hard and get ahead, but that doesn't change the fact that the tax burden has shifted from wealthy and corporations to individuals over the last 50 years, shrinking the middle class and widening income gap between rich and poor. Low pay and reduced workforce equals big profits for shareholders and CS. These are the people that can afford to do investments and make more, increasing their pay. CEO pay today is 300x what the average worker gets in pay. If this was reversed to what it used to be, we would not see the income inequality we have today. Just my thoughts, based on what I read from economists. And the amazing thing is that the elites or even middle class people will often shit poor people for being lazy or entitled, as if their circumstances had no hand in making them stay poor. It's one hell of an elite propaganda and it's fucking working. I'm a young guy. One of my female coworkers slapped my ass about a month ago. I didn't say anything because I really didn't care too much. But if the roles were reversed, it'd be out of here faster than I could say sexual harassment. Edit. Whoa, didn't expect to get this much feedback. It's somewhat comforting, but also disappointing to find out that this is a more widespread issue. But hey guys, we're men. We take the double standards and shit that life throws us, and we take the high road anyway with little to no praise. It's what we've done. It's what we do. And it's what we should do. Also, thanks for the awards. You guys are way too kind. My friend was sitting at a bar and a woman he didn't know well walked up and pinched his nipple. Apparently it was only funny until he did it back. She didn't do that shit again though. I don't recommend this strategy in a work environment. When my dad was in his mid-20s, 1986-87, he was at a bar one night with his male friends. They were just all chatting. Standing near the bar counter, a group of women, around my dad's age, slowly walk by, and one of them proceeded to sneak up on him, crouch down, and bite him on the butt. I'm serious. A grown-ass woman bit my dad in the ass, without permission, in public. She and her girlfriends laughed, and walked away. How the duck is that okay? Cigarette butts. They're not biodegradable and it's a fire hazard. We have issues with coffee cups, plastic bottles, etc. But we're totally fine with cigarette butts. If you're a smoker, make sure it only hurts you and nobody else. I just don't understand why lazy smokers feel it's okay to leave their butts on the ground, toss them out the window, and so on. Question mark? They'll be within 10 feet of a trash can and still just litter. Why is this acceptable? Exclamation mark. Edit, because this blew up overnight. 1. I apologize for being too general. I know not all smokers are like this, and thank you to the responsible smokers who are tidy. 2. Good luck to the many who commented that they are in the process of quitting. You can do it. Probably a bit late, and will get buried. But the one that probably affects me the most directly is that idea that if I have my kids out with me alone, am I some miracle from the heavens doing God's work? A stranger actually said that to me. Or hearing the is it daddy's day to babysit? Fuck you Karen, I'm the stay-at-home parent and it's not babysitting when they're my fucking kids. Mr. Mom came out in 1983 and I still can't get a break about it. See? This just sucks for everyone, both mom and dad. Anything the mom does is expected, and the dad gets treated like he doesn't have a right or responsibility to be a parent. Absolutely useless double standard. It's even wilder for my girlfriend. I posted it lower, but she's had more than one person tell her things like it's not too late to get married because they found out she had kids. One person said it to her while she was pregnant. It's honestly easier and more likely for someone to believe that we got pregnant on accident than it is to believe that we've been together for 10 years and just aren't rushing to the altar. Playing video games is a waste of time. Unproductive, and you should be ashamed of doing that in your free time if you're older than 18. In fact, you're immature if you do. But reading a book, watching TV/Netflix, going to a bar/club/etc. is completely fine and encouraged for all ages, well except bars and clubs. Why the hell do people despise video games specifically with such a passion? You're playing games when you could be something productive. Bullshit. You wouldn't say that to someone doing anything that I specified above during their free time, but you would to someone playing games, regardless if they actually were productive during the rest of the day or not. I was at the park working out a few years ago, and on a bench was a couple arguing. The girl proceeds to slap the crap out of her boyfriend. She then goes for another, but the dude blocked her and held her wrist. The girl then burst into tears and questions why he hurt her like that. To myself, I was thinking, wait, you can hit him, but when he defends himself it's wrong? Like WTF. I had an ex-fiance that hit me constantly. One time I went to block her. Her hand hit my arm and she threw herself on the floor and started screaming, "I can't believe you hit me." I went into the bedroom and closed and locked the door. She then started banging with what I thought was her hands. It turns out it was her face. She gave herself a black eye and a bloody nose. She stopped after a while and called 911 and told the dispatcher I hit her. Cops came and questioned me and her. Luckily, I recorded her banging on the door. The cops looked at the door and saw marks on it. After some intense questioning of both of us, me in handcuffs in the squad car and her in the house, they believed me over her. I broke off the engagement and left her the next day. Men vs women. Guys isn't trustworthy. Skeevy characters around children. There was a guy who posted a while ago who portrayed my point exactly about his experience being a teacher in infant school or something. Can't remember exactly, but the kids were pretty young. He loved being a teacher to help them, give them a good future, and watching them learn and develop into smart kids. However, there were a couple of occasions he got pulled aside by the head teacher for being inappropriate. One of them being taking a young girl to the classroom/nurse's office and giving her some antiseptic cream and plaster for her scrapes since she fell over in the playground. Purely because he was a guy, he was told parents might feel uncomfortable about that by his own head teacher, like leaving a crying, bleeding kid in the playground was a more appropriate idea than her own teacher helping. It's usually the instructions that the male teachers are given in school to not have any sort of physical contact with any female student, so cases like the one you mentioned have become commonplace. If a female student gets injured and the teacher has to wait until a female teacher or other female student comes in to help, all he can do is watch and verbally comfort the student, but he cannot offer a helping hand. This is such a bad thing to have in practice. Like, what if one of the girls starts to get a seizure or is choking and needs immediate Heimlich maneuver? A very harmful environment has been created for male teachers in schools. When I worked at a preschool, we always very strictly followed the rule of 3. There were always at least 3 people, ideally 2 adults, but even another kid in a situation like above, in any room. This was for male and female teachers. Every teacher I know, and that's a lot, because I'm a teacher too, male and female, all say they would love to have a camera in their room recording things for this reason. Kids are unreliable as duck, and yet, for some good reason, must be taken seriously when they describe abusive behavior by adults. Once they stink is on you. True or not, it's real hard to wash off. It's why I'm always confused about body cams on cops. Like, I would love to have video evidence that backed up my side of the story. This is why I quit being a substitute teacher. The administration would always side with the children over the teachers, resulting in nearly half of the teachers quitting or transferring to other schools in the district within the first 6 months. I had one kid in a behaviorally challenged class detail to me how he wanted to murder his parents and grandparents and shoot up the school. This wasn't trying to be cool. I got actual chills from this. Reported it to administration. They denied it. Talked to his teachers. They all legitimately feared for their lives because they had seen his behavior before, but his parents were rich donors and were influential on the school board. I got the hell out of there not long after. Having opinions on styles. Was at a bar with some friends and the girls were making fun of this guy's hair. Then a girl came in with the buzzed side of the head thing and I commented that I wasn't a fan of that style, and they got super defensive for her and telling me she can do whatever she wants and I can go duck myself. Edit. Wow, I was not expecting this to take off at all. Thanks for the points. There's a lot to get to in these responses, so sorry if I don't get to you. If you enjoy watching these videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video. Thanks.